Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's special City Council meeting. Certainly appreciate your attendance here today. Today is Thursday, March 31st, and as we do with every City Council meeting, we'll start with a roll call of your City Council.
Council members Anderson.
Here.
Erickson. Here. Erpenbach. Jamison.
Here.
Karski.
Here.
Kiley.
Here.
Rolfing. Staggers.
Thank you very much, Council. Appreciate your attendance here today. In the city of Sioux Falls, we start our City Council meetings with an invocation. We're very, very blessed to have Pastor Janina Getnor here. Pastor Janina is with the Sudan Lutheran Church. Pastor, welcome. What we'd ask is that you stand for today's invocation and then remain standing for our Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor Getnor, thank you.
O Lord, and glorify your names, for you alone are holy. All nations will come and worship you, for your righteousness act have been revealed. We ask your blessings, God, among the leaders of Sioux Falls and community members. Guide them and protect them and lead them in your way as they serve the community. We thank you, God, that you give us those leaders who honor your names and put you first before all they do. God, we call on your names and pour your blessings on our city leaders and community members, and the strength of all who put their trust in you. As you said, for where two or three are gathered in my name, there I am among them. Heavenly Father, pour your Holy Spirit on your faithful people. Keep them steadfast in your grace and truth. Protect, comfort them in all temptations. Defend them against all enemy of your word. Through Jesus Christ, your Son, our Lord, who live and reign with you and the Holy Spirit, one God, now and forever. Amen.
Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, Council and citizens of Sioux Falls, this is a special meeting. The intention is to give you a state of our city. How is Sioux Falls doing at this point in time? And my role is to do the best I can to kind of outline where we are as a city right now. As you know, I come with a business background, and so I think it's appropriate that we start by talking about the financials of the city of Sioux Falls. And certainly Sioux Falls is very, very strong financially. But let's talk about that just a little bit. Of course, we want to look at the revenues. How are the dollars coming in to our city? And there's really two things that we want to look at. There's sales tax revenues and certainly property tax revenues. As you can see by the graph before you, revenues continue to grow in the city of Sioux Falls, and that's certainly a great thing as we're looking to address the needs and the wants of the citizens that we serve. If you look back to last year's numbers, we did have about a 6% growth in our sales tax rate, as well as almost a 4.5% to 5% growth in our property tax rate. That's important because the city is growing, as I'll talk about later on, and so to keep up with that growth, we do want revenues to keep up as well. But let's look at the general fund as a whole, especially something that is really, really critical to the people of South Dakota and the people of Sioux Falls. We are pretty conservative folks. We do value a healthy piggy bank, and in the city of Sioux Falls, our piggy bank is full. If you look at the last year, we did utilize some of that piggy bank, and I think that that's appropriate because if you're going to have a piggy bank, you certainly, full is just fine, but if you're not going to utilize those funds to make good things happen for your city, then you shouldn't collect them at all. And in Sioux Falls, I think we're finding that balance between certainly collecting these valuable taxpayer dollars and then utilizing them effectively. Council, as you know, you want a goal at a minimum to have about a 25% reserve level when it comes to the general operating funds of our city. Right now, we're above that at around 29%. It should be noted that over the last 5 years, or over the previous 5 years, this city, your city, we added $5 million to our city bank, or to our city's piggy bank. We do have about $43.6 million in reserve right now. That is that rainy day fund. It's those dollars that we can utilize to not only capture the opportunities of our city, keep things going, make sure that we service you appropriately, but also handle those emergencies that may pop up as well. Remember, I talked about I'm a business person. Well, guess what? You've got a city council team that also values business acumen, as well as you've got a finance team that is right on top of it as well. We ended 2015 almost spot on where we forecasted we would be. We projected we would end the year at about 28.8%, 28.8% in terms of our reserve level. We ended the year at 28.9. The city knows what we're doing. We watch your dollars like a hawk, and I think you'll see that as we move on as well. And we've tackled a number of things in the city. Stayed prudent, stayed frugal. One of the biggest things that we tackled that impacted this reserve fund was we did open up fire station number 11. And that's important, you know, keeping our citizens safe, but it's also very, very expensive as well. You know, every now and then I hear this dialogue about, you know, we just have too much debt. No, we don't. No, we don't. We're very, very cautious in Sioux Falls. We're very, very frugal in Sioux Falls. We're very, very prudent in Sioux Falls. I mean, kind of, you know, it's sometimes hard, but I think it's important to kind of compare us with other communities to see just, you know, how we are doing. As you can see, Sioux Falls is very, very cautious. We have a very, very low debt burden. And all at the same time, we're improving infrastructure. We're investing in these long-awaited quality of life initiatives. We're keeping our families safe. And we're serving all of the citizens of Sioux Falls, and yes, those visitors that come into our town in a very, very strong fashion. I can make a guarantee. We are not leaving a bunch of unpaid bills for our kids and our grandkids in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. We're not. We're doing good stuff here, and we're spending your dollars very, very wisely. If you don't believe me, I understand, I respect it. If you don't believe me, well then, let's go to the professionals. These people that do this for a living, these people that evaluate towns, cities, counties, states, and yes, the federal government in the grandest fashion, these third parties. Well, look where they put Sioux Falls. Look at this. We have a Moody's bond rating of AA2. There's only 2 ratings that are higher than AA2. And you're not going to find many cities across America that have achieved such a high bond rating. The governor of our great state, Governor Dugard, he made it a focus that he wanted to have a strong bond rating, and I commend him for it. I think it's a good thing. Well, it hasn't just been the state of South Dakota that's been focused on that either. The city of Sioux Falls has been doing it for a long, long time. And we've achieved great results from the work of the council and the employees and the citizens of Sioux Falls. Let's change topics just a little bit. And again, talking about the state of our city. Certainly, our economy is booming. This is not a surprise to anyone. We are creating good jobs. We're creating a bevy of jobs. In fact, in 2015, we created at least 3,000 new jobs. And it's across all kinds of sectors: healthcare, research, retail, construction, manufacturing, the service industry, yes, financial services, and so much more. In Sioux Falls, one of the reasons why you should feel good about the strength of your city is that we have multiple legs on our economic development stool. We're not just reliant on one industry here, on one job sector here. We have so many legs on the economic development stool, and that's what keeps our city strong. There's building going on all over town. You see it. You see it. We had record building permits once again in 2015. We broke the record in 2013. We broke the record again in 2014. We broke the record again. In fact, we blew it away in 2015 for the third straight year. And as Ron Bell and Mike Cooper are getting soon to announce, we are off to the fastest start in the City of Sioux Falls history in 2016. City of Sioux Falls, you bet. We're doing some really grand things. And these record building permits are helping to stimulate much of it. And one thing, too, that was just announced yesterday, and it's important because we're talking about the state of our city. Really excited because there's more development coming in a floodplain out by our mall. We've been waiting years for this, and thanks to leadership of city councilors in the past, we were able to move something forward at a much faster pace, and now there are over 2,000 homeowners and businesses out in that floodplain that have been waiting years to develop, years to remodel, years to grow, years to invest. And building plans can start as early as this summer. And that flood insurance that all those folks have had to worry about for so long will no longer be required by the end of the year. Sioux Falls, we're off to the fastest construction year in our city's history, and that is before we open up these development opportunities out in our floodplain. The items that I have on the screen before you are the 5 largest building projects that we had in 2015. All big deals. But I don't want to minimize all of the smaller deals that helped grow this economy in such a grand way, and then, yes, ultimately that helped us accomplish the record building that we had. It takes risk takers. It takes dreamers to make good things happen. We had $676 million worth of dreams last year alone. And I also want to recognize the city employees that had to keep up with all those dreamers, because they're part of the equation. They are. Go down to our planning and zoning office, go to our public works team, go to our legal department, go to this team, go to that team. They're all working in collaboration to keep this town dreaming, investing, and ultimately building. Growth all over town. But it's our downtown, our heartbeat, that has never pumped stronger, that has never been more vibrant. Our downtown. I know that my vision for downtown was probably a bit different than some others when I was first elected mayor. Certainly, I wanted our downtown to be the place to work. And you can see, it certainly has been the place to work. And in fact, our office vacancy rates have almost been cut in half since I was elected mayor. I also, certainly, you want your downtown to be a place to play. You know, after 5 on the weekends, you certainly want it to be fun. You want it to be vibrant. You want it to be the place to be. And look at the retail sales. It certainly has done that and more. My dream for downtown has been, I wanted it to be the place to live. Because when you make your downtown the place to live, that blood is pumping through your heart all the time. Not just from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. Not just after 5 and on the weekends, but the blood is pumping in your city every day of the week, every hour of the day. And look at our downtown. People are living downtown in record numbers. We had a vacancy rate back in 2010 of 14%. I actually think these numbers are wrong. I think the 2% is too high. In fact, there was a report that was just said just a couple of weeks ago that they believe that there are 10 places to live right now in downtown Sioux Falls. 10. Not 10%, 10. And we are growing places and building places to live in downtown in ways that we never have before. Let's go to another topic. Okay, Mayor, sure, economically we're strong, financially we're strong, but do people want to live here? What about the quality of life? Millennial generation, they're not the only ones who care about a good quality of life. We all do. And in Sioux Falls, I strongly believe that our quality of life is second to none. In fact, I'm not alone. Over 90% of the citizens in the last survey, they said they will certainly remain in Sioux Falls, and they would recommend others to move to our city as well. I can't think of many folks that are looking to leave Sioux Falls. I think I got a pretty good pulse on the city. You don't hear of people leaving the city of Sioux Falls or wanting to leave the city of Sioux Falls. That includes, maybe most importantly, those people that are graduating from our high schools, from our technical schools, our colleges, our universities. Those are the ones that you're always kind of most at risk at losing. We've been talking about this for generations, South Dakota. Could we only create an environment where these people, after they graduate, where they'd want to stay? Well, they are. What an indicator on the state of our city. You've got young people that are graduating and they're deciding that this is where they want to live, this is where they want to play, this is where they want to work. And we've got people moving back to Sioux Falls too. And we need them. Grandmas, grandpas, moms, and dads, they're cheering this fact at the highest level. We've invested a bunch of money, a bunch of this hard-earned taxpayer money, Council, in some of these other quality of life initiatives. Our Denny Sanford Premier Center, now recognized as the 100th busiest event center in, not the United States, in the world. 100th busiest in the world, generating profit, as we said we would do. Just celebrated the Sioux Falls region D1 tournament in Sioux Falls and rave reviews. Have you heard? There's going to be a brand new hotel, conference center, restaurant, bar. We're even going to throw in a golf hall of fame right across the street from our new event center. There is more development happening already than we ever thought was imaginable, and we're not done. We're not close to being done. And one of the things that, not only are we paying attention to all this excitement going on by our new event center, there's others paying attention too. There's these NCAA representatives. They are watching Sioux Falls in ways that you can't imagine. We've had this dream of having these big events in the city of Sioux Falls. We just hosted one, a D1 basketball for women. The one that we not going to minimize that one. That was huge. But our goal is D1 men's basketball as well. I like our chances. I really like them. In fact, the NCAA officials that I spoke to on Sunday, they like our chances as well. We're going to have a ribbon cutting that we've been talking about since the 1950s. It's going to happen here real soon. Our new Midco Aquatic Center is going to open. It's going to have rave reviews. I want to remind you, again, state of our city. How did we pay for this $24 million investment? With cash. How does that make you feel, Sioux Falls? It should make you feel very proud. Not a lot of cities that can do something like that. We did it, Sioux Falls. We've been talking about it since 1950, and we did it. Quality life investments. It's not just the fun stuff that makes a good quality of life. It's also that critical infrastructure that you need to invest in as well. And I'm proud of the council because they have also wanted to make our infrastructure as strong as possible. Good roads, for example. You know, I don't know who the next mayor is going to be in a couple of years, but I have some advice from them. And that is, you better have good roads in the summer and you better have good roads in the winter. And we have tackled roads over the last 6 years in ways that you can see above. We've tackled 380 miles of road since 2010. Great progress has been made, not only above the ground, but below the ground as well. You've often heard me say that if you're going to have a good quality life, there's not a more important quality life than whether your people, whether your families, whether they feel safe. And that's why public safety is such a priority in Sioux Falls. We hire men and women to serve and protect us in grand ways. You can see that by the hiring that we've done in the city of Sioux Falls over the years. And I actually had an email the other day and said, hey, Mayor, you can't just hire to replace folks that retire. Oh, we don't. We hire way above that. We do. Whether it be Chief Barthel, Chief Burns, whatever it would be, we are working to stay ahead of the growth of this city. And yes, we are staying one step ahead of the crime that could occur here as well. Because guess what? Not every single person that's going to live in the city of Sioux Falls, not every single person that visits the city of Sioux Falls, and not every single person that moves into Sioux Falls is going to be a good neighbor. It's a sad reality, but they're not. We've got some people that are going to really do some stupid stuff. And when they do this stupid stuff, they're going to hurt some people along the way. Here's just something, though, that I think that the slide shows. If you do something bad in our town, the odds are really good. We're going to hold you accountable. You do the crime here, you're going to do the time here. That's a big deal. But let's talk about the state of our city, Sioux Falls. You have to understand something. You know, I wish that the police team, the fire team, the code enforcement team, the city councilors, and all these neighbors, I wish that we could catch everyone before they do the crime. And I wish we could stop all the causes that create the crime. Here's the deal, though. The three most predominant factors when it comes to crime in the city of Sioux Falls involves drinking, it involves drugs, and it involves mental illness. That's it. And that's not going to get solved during my administration or during generations to come. It's just not. But we can do our best to try to prevent these crimes from happening or to work for solutions to make them better. More to come. Our downtown is in good hands. A while back, when I was talking about the state of our city, there was concern about crime or issues within our downtown. We have really ramped things up in downtown Sioux Falls, and it's paying great dividends. You can see some of the things that we've done, and that's why I think our downtown in Sioux Falls has been the place to live, to work, and to play. Good things are happening. And I'm not going to leave without talking about our fire team. We have known for years, way before I was the mayor, that we had one of the best fire teams in the nation. Well, now we've proven it. The ISO 1 designation and our accreditation that we have proves that we've got one of the best fire teams in America. And we haven't had a fire fatality since 2013. We implemented a new paramedics a plus ambulance provider, which has really done great things. We've opened up Fire Station 11 and so much more. A lot of good things going on. And I could spend a good hour or two talking about all the positives. But we also have some challenges, Sioux Falls, within the state of our city today. Got one of the lowest unemployment rates in America. That's normally a really, really good thing. A goal is to be right around that 3%, right around that 3.5% unemployment rate. I don't know if you can see this, but look at January and February of 2016, and then compare it to the January and February of 2013, 2014, 2015. Look where we're starting out already. Again, normally you'd sing at the highest level when you'd have an unemployment rate of around 2.7%, and I'm singing its praises. But at the same time, when you're growing at the pace that we're growing, you also need good workers, and that's why we're working on recruitment, trying to let people know that this is a great place to live, work, and play. We're working on development. Trying to get people trained so they can handle the jobs that we have, as well as I do think that one of our best chances of success is to provide an environment where we've got competitive wages, competitive benefits, and great places to work. What I've found is that as I am engaging business people, those that have been the most successful are those that have taken this recipe of good wages, good benefits, and good places to work, and they've maximized them at the highest level. And Sioux Falls, it's not just those small and large businesses that need help. The city of Sioux Falls needs help too. We do. We've got 90 openings for sure in 2016, and we're struggling to find people to fill those roles. If you know someone's looking for a good job, have them apply at the city of Sioux Falls. And I think that should kind of give you a little flavor for the state of our city, is that when the mayor is reaching out to the citizens and saying the city needs workers, that's a message. That's a message. Hey, anybody looking for a part-time job this summer, please interview within the city of Sioux Falls, because we need you. We need you bad. I could talk about this topic for a long time, but I'm going to try not to. We've been working on these city space needs for a long, long time, way before I was the mayor. In fact, if you go back to the Argus Leader, January 1, 2007, they were talking way back then about, imagine if you can, a sparkling mall of government in downtown Sioux Falls. Government buildings, both city and county, festoing Main and Dakota Avenues from 3rd Street to 11th Street. That's one vision of downtown that is currently at City Hall. It was back in 2007, January 1. Later on it goes, long-term, the site could be home to a new government office building, Cooper said. That could be necessary if city government continues to grow. And it said back then, from 2001 to 2005, the city had 114 new positions, from 956 to 1,070. Right now, we're well over 1,200, making the city one of the largest employers in the city of Sioux Falls. Two of the counselors at that time were Counselor Staggers and Counselor Jameson. It wasn't Counselor Craig Jameson. It was his dad. It was Council Chair Bob Jameson that was trying to address the city space needs for the city of Sioux Falls back in 2007. I've heard talk about how this is being rushed, how we've not studied enough, how there's not been enough due diligence, enough debate. Well, there was plenty of debate back in 2007, and there's been plenty of debate and due diligence now. If you go back to 2007, the local paper, and I commend them, they had a headline, "Don't buy it without a plan." Don't buy it without, in fact, if you go to it, it says, city officials could put up a new government building there to meet the city's growing needs. In fact, we could create a giant mall of government stretching from 3rd Street to 11th Street. They end it by, demonstrate the need. Demonstrate the need. Until city officials can do that, we should pass. They wanted a plan. They wanted us to demonstrate the need. That was way back in 2007. Well, ultimately, that city council, they moved forward. They did. They did. While the final vote to purchase was 7-1, there was a moment of doubt. Councilor Bob Litz offered an alternative motion to delay purchasing the land until the city completes an in-depth review. That study is expected to be completed soon. Mayor Munson said, that's the risk you take with delays, and the risk could have meant that the land at that time could have been sold to somebody else. We've been working hand in hand with the City Council for at least the last year. A sound due diligence, great discussion. We've developed an excellent plan that meets the highest level of prudence, of business, and common sense. There's never a perfect time, there's never a perfect plan, and there's never a perfect place. You have to lead, and you have to do the best that you can to serve the citizens that you serve. And these things aren't cheap. You know, the prioritization of your taxpayer dollars is expensive. This is a $20 million investment we're talking about, just that city services building alone. Prioritization of your taxpayer dollars is so critical. And budget time is approaching, and you just can't imagine the calls that I'm getting, the emails that I'm getting, that folks need money for this or they want money for that. I'm going to read the bullets that are on the slide because I think it's important, not only for the new city council candidates to understand, but also for the citizens of Sioux Falls to understand. Because the 8 that are in the battle today, they know this like the back of their hand. I'm going to read these bullets. Everyone wants something. Nothing is for free. You can't be beholden to special interests if you're going to be in government. Tough decisions ultimately will be made. And if you're going to be a good counselor, and if you're going to be a good mayor, and if you're going to be a good steward, you must focus on the city as a whole. It's a real challenge, though, because there is so much confidence, there is so much energy, there is so much momentum that everybody just wants a little bit of everything, and ultimately, you know, we'll try to keep those things in mind. The next 2 years that I'm blessed in my mind to be your mayor, I do think council and citizens of Sioux Falls, I think they're going to seem a bit boring if you compare them to the prior 6. Because you know what, I do want us to focus on really going back to the things that I wanted to tackle when I was first elected. And that is, I really want to go back to these basics of repair, rebuild, and replace our infrastructure. That boring infrastructure. I really do think that we should. And we're going to make great strides in 2016. It will be the second largest attempt in our city's history. And we'll do it in 16. I would encourage us to do it in 17, and I'd encourage us to do it in 18 as well. This is how I came in on this ship, and it's how I'd like to leave, is on this same ship of repairing, rebuilding, and replacing infrastructure. Also want to keep Sioux Falls on sound financial footing. I think that that's the appropriate thing ultimately to do. I do want to look at those reserves again. I do. I want to give folks a flavor that we're not going to leave the next mayor or the next city council. We're not going to leave them hanging. We will build a plan that is prudent and responsible, and will always maintain that fat and that full piggy bank. Oh, and I want to remind you, council candidates, I want to remind you, remember that polarization slide with those 5 bullets? The only way that you can do this is if you focus on those 5 bullets that I talked about earlier. Infrastructure is really important. It is, and you can see that we are going to invest in some of those things above the ground, but maybe more importantly, some of those things below the ground as well. You can see some of the water and water reclamation investments that we're going to make. This is unbelievably boring stuff. The only ones who thinks that this is exciting is Mark Cotter and the Public Works team. This is so boring. But look where we're putting our money, Sioux Falls. It's not just those grandiose fun event centers and those new indoor pools and those river greenways. It's not just that. We love the boring stuff as well. And I hope that you understand that. And I'm going to do my best to encourage the council to put their money in that boring stuff over the next 2 to 3 years as well. We're going to maintain prudent debt levels. Flat out, Sioux Falls, I get it. I get it. You were willing to invest in a brand new event center, and it certainly did increase the debt load on the city. I'm not going to hide it. Not going to hide it. There it is. It's right there. You can see. We went from $279 million in debt to $309 million in debt. That's our event center. It is. It is. But remember, we're getting a great return on our investment on that event center too. And also remember this, we're going to pay that thing off by 2033. And I want to take you back to that debt burden, okay? We've got one of the lowest debt burdens in the state or in this region, and that includes adding our brand new event center on top of that. I do think that we should prepare for the downtown rail yard property. It was a $35 million investment that the United States taxpayers had made. I don't think that there's any chance, and I actually don't think it's the prudent thing to do, Council, to put a bunch of shovels in the ground, right away. I don't think that we should. But I do think that what we should do is at least kind of lay the foundation and get it ready. And you can see that we're going to start that redevelopment process this summer and fall. We'll start to look at some proposals for development within that area in 2017. And then we're hoping to have maybe our first groundbreaking by the spring of 2018. I don't see us as a city investing in a lot of quality of life investments here over the next couple of years. What we'll do is, again, we'll lay that foundation. Probably the biggest quality of life investment that we'll get ready for will happen long after I'm your mayor. And that is laying the groundwork for the Levitt Pavilion and Phase 3 of the River Greenway. And then finally, I want to close that I think that our goal is to maintain this state of the city. Maintain where we're at. Certainly reach higher, but maintain this high level of confidence, still get things done for the city, and really do some great things. Sioux Falls, you have to understand something. The state of the city doesn't happen without good leadership. It doesn't. The state of the city, here's some reality for you. We're going to have half of our city council is going to move on and do great things with the days that God has provided them. So we've got some new candidates who want to be on your council. The state of the city is such that in 2 months, you're going to have to make a decision. I would encourage you to study the candidates and at a minimum to vote. I also want to recognize 4 of the counselors that helped us get the state of the city where we're at today. These are 4 city councilors that I've worked with for quite a long time. Not every minute has been, you know, a bed of roses, but certainly I look back over the years, I look back over what we've accomplished as a team, and I'm pretty dang proud of it. And not only want to recognize these city councilors that are leaving us, but I also want to recognize their families as well. Sioux Falls, you have to understand something. The sacrifice by these men and women is beyond something that you can imagine until you're in the arena. But it's not just their sacrifice. It's the sacrifice of their families. It's the sacrifice of their friends as well. With that in mind, I want to end this State of the City by acknowledging 4 of those that have been fighting in the arena to get this State of the City where we're at today. With that in mind, I'd like to close this State of the City address by recognizing Council Chair Kenny Anderson Jr., Councilor Greg Jamieson, Councilor Dean Karski, and Councilor Kermit Staggers. Let's give them a round of applause and thank them. Thank you, Sioux Falls. Make it a great day.